I want to tell you about the most invisible I ever felt professionally and the specific moment that changed everything. This is not a motivational story. This is a communication story. If you work in tech and you are 5 or 10 years into your career and you're excellent at what you do, but still overlooked in the rooms that matter, this channel was built for you. I remember when I was trying to move up the corporate ladder. And at this time was around the year 2017 between 2019. And during those years, I was simultaneously trying to get my master's in business so I can get promoted financially as well as move up with my job status and title. So I was working long days. And I remember during my master's program, during those 2 years, along with my work schedule, I would wake up around 4:30 to be able to get to work, which took me about an hour. Then I would be at work all the way until about 3:30, 4 o'clock, depending on when I was able to finish up my work. And then I would have to go immediately from my job to the university. And between the job and the university was about another 70 miles. So that took me about 2 hours in peak traffic to get there during rush hour. And then I would be at my university till about 9 p.m. And then I would go home, go to sleep, and do it all over again. The whole time, I felt like I was doing the most that I could for the company that I worked at, knowing in my back pocket, I had a master's degree that was on the way. And I couldn't wait for the paper to show them everything. I mean, besides the MBA, I'm going above and beyond, making sure I'm efficient and effective. Whenever I got an assignment, I would finish it within a few hours, or if the project took a week, I would finish it up within a few days. But that didn't speak for me the way that I thought it would. All it did was give me more work to do. I thought it would get me viewed as somebody that's special or somebody that stands out. But when that performance review came, it was showing that my presence and visibility wasn't where it was supposed to be, or where they thought it was supposed to be, because I thought I was doing enough. And the irony in me feeling like I'm going above and beyond, the whole time between those 2 years, whenever a promotion would come up and I would go to interview and I would mention my MBA in my back pocket, it seemed like that didn't help me. And I would end up getting passed over for promotions. And eventually I stopped trying, and I had more colleagues get promoted above me who I was working directly with. But because I stopped trying, I really wasn't getting those opportunities. And then one fateful day, I remember after a long day of work and school, getting home and receiving a phone call from my brother. And within this phone call, he proceeds to tell me that my dad passed away. And when my dad passed away, I started questioning everything. Because if I didn't have a voice before that, that certainly killed it. My dad was somebody I went to for encouragement. My dad was somebody that told me to always believe in myself. And without this person who I normally go to at times of crisis, during a time of crisis, I felt ultimately silenced. But within my silence, I questioned my value. I questioned why everything was happening to me and what I was supposed to do moving forward in the situation I was in. I wasn't feeling appreciated at the job. But the one person I could talk to about this, who I know also has experience with working with people, is gone. And now I feel like my voice has been stripped from me. But here's the truth that I realized within my situation. I was suppressing my own visibility. I was suppressing my own voice. And that came from me not being sure with how I was supposed to convey my worth. Because here's the thing. Hard work without visibility is just invisibility. And when you're working hard and putting your head down and putting in the work and hoping the work speaks for itself, you're not speaking for yourself. You're allowing others to dictate your value based on what you're not saying. But what you could be saying could be the most important thing to everyone in the room that changes everything for you. So, what was that defining moment? What was that specific moment for me that changed everything within that realization? The specific moment was simply a decision. It was the decision to stop waiting on others to see my value and to start communicating from where I was. Not performing like someone else that I saw. Not trying to be more than what I already was or thinking what I already was. It wasn't that. It was simply communicating the value from where I was at using the voice that I had within myself. Because the one thing about tragedy and when life hits you hard, especially when you feel like you're going above and beyond, is when you get down to the essence of who you are, when you feel like you have nothing else to give and this is your final straw, what happens is something interesting. What happens is you get real. And when you get real with yourself, there's no more acting. When you start having a deeper purpose, when you start feeling like there's things I need to go get for myself, you don't let external circumstances get in the way of that. When your why is stronger than your current how, you don't worry about your current how. You proceed because of your why. I stopped performing communication and started speaking from a place of where I was actually at. When I started to identify using the Rise Point Shift framework we went through in the last video. If you haven't seen that video, please go back and check it out. When I started to identify where I was holding myself back in my spotted phase and the skills that I need to develop in my sparked phase, I finally was able to show it in the rooms that matter. And that actually helped me get promoted and the job pay and the job increase and the recognition that I knew I was already worthy of. All I had to do was find that internal voice inside of me and work on it based on what's bigger than myself. And when I had nothing else to lose, that was when I realized it. But you don't have to lose everything to realize what you already have inside of you. All it takes is a strong reason why you need to act now. Why your voice matters. Why you are communicating from who you are and why it's important to not act like somebody else. So that's what actually changed me. It wasn't I got more confident. It wasn't I had to change my personality. It was I had to simply start embodying who I was on the inside and bringing that out for other people to see. And that wasn't an act. What it was a necessity. A process I teach is called invisible potential activation. And what that process is the process of going from unseen value to undeniable impact. The reason why you're unseen in this process is because you have not activated the part of you that then becomes undeniable. When I say undeniable, I'm not talking about just within action, but I'm also talking about within thoughts. Because once you have undeniable within your mind state, you then no longer allow external circumstances to stop you towards where you want to be. And this invisible potential process takes place on each stage of the Rise Point Shift framework. Okay, you have to activate yourself on the spotted phase by pointing out where you are holding yourself back, where in your communication are you lacking, where are the parts in your story that you are playing where you are playing small. In the spark it phase, you have to activate the skill development that you need in order for you to better your life. But you do this by working on yourself and actively practicing the skills that you need in order for you to move forward. And then you use this invisible potential activation process in the show it phase by activating who you need to be in the room. And that's not who you need to be in terms of acting, but who you need to be as far as who you became. And who you become is way more powerful than who you are trying to act to be like. So there were times in my professional career where I was quiet because I didn't see the value in my voice. I didn't think that it mattered what I said. I didn't think that people would hear me. I thought that the organizational structure of, having certain leaders above me who overrided my every call would make my points, would make my voice pointless. That allowed me to stay silent. That allowed me to believe that the only way that I can get ahead is if I show you the work that I did on paper. And all these things held me back. But when I started to make that shift and realize that my voice is more powerful than my circumstance, everything changed. Matter of fact, my circumstances changed. And that's the story of how communication changed my life. And if this story resonated, if you recognize yourself anywhere in it, the free live training that I'm giving May 7th is your next step. I'm going to walk you through exactly how to make that same exact shift for yourself. The link for this training is in the description. I'm going to keep this first group small, so spots are limited. If you enjoyed this story, if you got a lesson out of it, comment the lesson that you got below. If not, I will see you in the next video. Remember, your voice is powerful and it can change your life. Peace.